Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to remind you of something powerful. Again, your life is the result of the choices you make daily. Not occasionally, not once in a while, but every single day, day in and day out. See, again, success isn't something you stumble into. It isn't a lottery ticket. It isn't luck. Success is the product of daily discipline, daily growth, again, and daily courage. Every day you wake up, you've got two choices. You can either repeat yesterday's excuses or you can step into today's opportunities. The truth is, most people wait for the right moment began, the perfect time or the right resources. But the successful ones, they don't wait began. They work with what they've got until they create what they need. If you want to live the life you dream about, again, you can't treat personal growth like a one-time event. It's not a seminar, it's not a weekend workshop. It's a lifestyle. You must grow yourself day in, day out. Learn when it's uncomfortable. Practice when nobody's watching. Stay disciplined when your emotions want to quit. Because here's the truth, your future is built in the daily grind, not in the highlight reel. Again, you've got to invest in yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. When you grow, everything around you grows. When you rise, opportunities rise with you. So decide right now that you're not going to live by chance, but by choice. That you'll show up every day. Began working on the only person who can guarantee your success, you. Keep pushing, keep developing. Day in and day out, thank you. Success is not the result of one big break, one lucky moment, or one golden opportunity. Too many people think if they just land that one job, meet that one person, or get that one chance, everything will change. But that's not how success works. Success is not an event, it's a process. Again, it's built in the quiet, ordinary days that don't make the headlines. It's built in the choices you make when nobody's clapping for you. Again, when nobody's watching, and when you could easily take the easy way out, but decide to do the hard thing instead. Again, think about it. If success were occasional, everyone would have it. Anybody can get lucky once, but luck doesn't sustain you. Again, it's the daily habits that do. The way you think when you wake up, the way you manage your time, the way you discipline yourself to learn, grow, and push beyond comfort. Those daily actions compound over time. A single push-up won't change your body. A single book won't expand your mind. And a single act of courage won't define your character. But when you repeat them every day, that's when transformation happens. Again, consistency is the great separator. Talent might get you attention once in a while, but consistency keeps you relevant. Again, you can have the best intentions in the world. Again, but if you only work on your dreams occasionally, when you feel like it, they will remain dreams. Success doesn't care about feelings. It responds to discipline. The people you admire didn't rise to greatness by accident. They rose because they showed up every day, even when they were tired, even when they were uncertain, even when the results weren't immediate. Again, what happens when you treat success like a daily discipline? You build momentum. Every small action begins to stack on the previous one. What seems insignificant today, writing one page, making one call, practicing one skill, becomes the foundation for something extraordinary tomorrow. It's like bricks building a wall. Again, one brick doesn't look like much, but keep stacking them day in and day out, and suddenly you've built something strong, something solid, something unshakable. So the truth is simple. You don't arrive at success, you grow into it daily. Every day you invest in yourself. You're casting votes for the kind of person you want to become. And those votes add up. If you want success, don't look for it in the occasional big moments. Look for it in your daily commitment to growth, excellence, and persistence. Yeah. That's where success is born, and that's where it's sustained. Every single morning when you wake up, you are faced with a choice. That choice is not determined by your past, your circumstances, or even your current resources. It is determined by your mindset. Again, you can either find a reason to shrink back, or you can find a reason to move forward. You can make an excuse for why it can't be done again, or you can spot the opportunity to do what needs to be done. Those two paths are always available, began, and the one you choose consistently shapes the direction of your life. Excuses are seductive. They sound reasonable. They whisper to you, again, I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I don't know enough people. I wasn't born into the right family. I'll start tomorrow. Excuses will dress themselves up so well that they feel like truth. But make no mistake, excuses are nothing but chains that keep you locked where you are. The moment you choose them, you give up your power to change again. The more you repeat them, the more they become your reality. And before long, you stop trying. Not because you can't again, but because you keep convincing yourself you shouldn't. On the other hand, opportunities rarely come dressed as something comfortable. Again, they often come disguised as challenges, as problems to solve, as extra hours of work, as learning something you don't yet understand. But here's the beauty: every day, life places opportunities in front of you. Again, they might look small, like making that phone call you've been avoiding, practicing that skill for 30 minutes, or speaking up in a meeting. But when you choose the opportunity instead of the excuse, you're building courage, you're building progress, and you're building momentum. When you make excuses, nothing changes. But when you grab opportunities, even the smallest ones, everything starts to shift. Think about it. You don't need to leap miles at a time. You only need to take consistent steps. That step might not look impressive today, but years down the line, you'll look back and realize those small opportunities you seized added up to a transformed life. The opportunities you take multiply, while the excuses you make multiply too. One leads to growth, the other to regret. That's why every morning is a fresh battle between two voices. The voice of comfort and the voice of commitment. And it's not a one-time decision. It's daily. Some days you'll feel like giving in, and some days you'll feel like pushing through. But remember this: the world rewards people who choose opportunities over excuses. Every day you pick opportunity, you're not just moving closer to your dreams. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for life to happen, but makes life happen. Too many people sit on the sidelines of life waiting for the right moment, waiting for more money, waiting for more confidence, waiting for someone to discover them or validate them. And while they wait, life keeps moving forward. The problem with waiting for the perfect time is simple: it doesn't exist. If you keep waiting for the stars to align, you'll look up one day and realize the stars moved on without you. The clock won't stop because you hesitated. The truth is, nobody ever feels completely ready before they begin. Think about the people who've achieved great things. None of them started with perfect circumstances. They didn't have all the knowledge, they didn't have all the resources, and they didn't have every detail figured out. What they had was the courage to start where they were, with what they had, and learn along the way. That's the secret. The act of starting creates clarity, confidence, and momentum. Waiting does the opposite. It feeds fear, it feeds procrastination, and it feeds doubt. When you start with what you have, something powerful happens. You discover that progress creates possibilities. That little action you take today opens doors you couldn't even see yesterday. You may not have the money for the big dream, but you can start by learning the skills. You may not have the perfect connections, but you can start by building relationships where you are. You may not have the whole staircase, but you can climb the first step. The resources you need often reveal themselves after you take action, not before. It's easy to believe that successful people had it easier, that they started with advantages you don't have, but that's not the truth. The difference isn't the starting point. It's the starting decision. Some people use what little they have as a seed, while others use it as an excuse. One plants and grows, the other waits and watches. And while one is building, the other is dreaming about building. But you cannot control where you start, but you can control how you start. That's why you must make a decision. Began. Stop waiting for perfect and start creating progress. If you don't have the tools, use your hands. If you don't have the audience, again, practice in front of the mirror. If you don't have the stage, speak to the people in your circle. What matters isn't perfection. What matters is momentum. The moment you take that first imperfect step, you've already separated yourself from the masses who are still waiting for everything to be just right. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. That's the path forward. Began. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that personal growth is something you do once, check off the list, and move on. They treat growth like a graduation day. Celebrate it once and then it's over. But real growth doesn't work like that. Growth is not an event. It's a lifestyle. It's not a weekend seminar, not a book you read once, not a speech you hear that fires you up for a few days. Growth is a daily commitment to becoming more than you were yesterday. Think about it this way: you don't eat once and say, "That's it, I'll never need food again." You don't exercise once and say, "That's it, I'm fit forever." Growth works the same way. It requires consistent nourishment. Your mind, your character, your spirit, they all need to be fed daily. The moment you stop feeding them, you start starving them. And slowly, without even noticing, you begin to shrink back into old patterns, old fears, and old limitations. The people who keep rising higher in life are not the ones who had one powerful moment. They're the ones who built powerful habits. They live with the mindset that every day is an opportunity to grow. They ask themselves, what can I learn today? How can I get stronger today? How can I be better today than I was yesterday? That kind of thinking keeps you moving forward. Because growth is not about reaching a destination. It's about committing to the journey. What makes growth a lifestyle is that it touches every part of your life. It's not just about reading books or attending workshops. It's about applying what you learn in your relationships, in your work, in your health, in your decisions. It's about becoming more disciplined with your time, more intentional with your actions, more resilient in the face of setbacks. Growth isn't something you fit into your life when it's convenient. Growth becomes the way you live. When you treat growth as an event, you get a burst of excitement that fades away. But when you treat growth as a lifestyle, you build momentum that compounds. You begin to notice small changes stacking up into big transformations. And the best part, you don't just change what you do, you change who you are. You don't just learn skills, you develop character. And character is what sustains success long after the applause fades and the excitement wears off. Motivation is a spark. It feels good, and it gets you excited, and it pushes you forward for a moment. But the problem with motivation is that it doesn't last. One day you're on fire, and the next day you don't even feel like getting out of bed. If you build your success only on motivation, you'll rise and fall with your emotions. That's why discipline matters more. Discipline is what carries you through when the excitement is gone. Discipline is what makes sure you do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Think about it. Anybody can work hard when they're excited, when the conditions are perfect, when the music is playing and the crowd is cheering. But the true test of success is what you do when the feelings fade, when nobody's clapping, and when the grind feels heavy. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It tells you what to do. It's the anchor that keeps you steady when your emotions try to drift you off course. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. When you build discipline, You stop being controlled by your moods. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether you should or shouldn't again. You develop a standard, a non-negotiable commitment that says, this is what I do again. This is who I am. That's why disciplined people succeed at levels others only dream about. They don't wait for the right mood. They act in spite of the mood. And the funny thing is, once you act with discipline, the motivation often comes back. Action produces energy, but waiting for energy rarely produces action. Discipline is also what separates those who start from those who finish. Look around. How many people do you know who had big dreams, big goals, and big plans, but never followed through? It's not because they weren't motivated at some point. It's because they didn't stay disciplined again. Dreams don't die for lack of excitement. They die for lack of consistency. And consistency only comes through discipline, the daily practice again, the repeated habits, the willingness to do it again and again until it becomes a part of you. So if you want to win in life, don't chase motivation. Cultivate discipline. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Motivation is loud and temporary. Discipline is quiet and permanent. Build discipline, and you'll find yourself achieving goals long after the excitement wears off. Because in the end, the disciplined always outperform the motivated.